Later the Hao Fan 6 disappeared. Soldier jets by blood sugar. The Hao Fan 6 was one of 4-person sea vessels the UN slapped in world seaport bans. Navigation is the region Hao is in the largest anxiety now, taking into account the compress by the sanctions regime, told George Lopez, a ex-term of the UN pane of expert on Polar Korea who now teaches at the College of Notre Lady. One day thou re in a position love you are in currently, while where's practically no supply permitted, later you get a opportunity to vary interdiction practically all. The sanctions regime coincide in U.S. CEO Donald Trump cards scheduled to suppress Polar Korea's nuke march by setting along a world coalition devoted to cut off Polar Korea's cash flow. The expect is to ultimately get the recluse nationality's lead, Kim Jong-un, to abandon his nuke stockpile in exchanging for sanctions regime ease. The U.S. Exchequer Division has lost the future rather than the UN, authorizing 59 where for his business relations in Polar Korea. But freelance Polar Korea watchers include identified as lot as 180 sea vessels associated to the recluse country. That begs the issue, how lot Polar Korean sea vessels love the Hao Fan 6 are yet roaming the top seas, earning in cash money for the Kim mode? A vessel crosses dry earth. The Hao Fan 6 journeys in the weeks up the Ban Sha. The large vessel, that can transportation 8,343 tons of goods, emerging to journey on earth through big swaths of southward Korea. These aren't errors. They're clues. Rotate it off and a vessel can conceal of inquisitive eyes or capacity threats. One day rotated behind on, monitoring information will show a big and extraordinary leap. Following departure quiet on October 10, the Hao Fan 6 didn't rotate on its transponder for the otherwise of the monthly. Berger told he's overall for Polar Korean linked where charming in illicit behavior to rotate off his transponders for periods of his journey. Experts say transponders are normally close off if a vessel is creature endangered, frequently due to pirate. 3 trips to Polar Korea. The Hao Fan 6's historic information shows 3 visits to Polar Korea in 2016, an operation on conventional charcoal navigation means of communication. 2 times in the drop it was tracked close a Polar Korean seaport town, Nampo. The at first period was September 27. The Hao Fan 6 following pinged on October 17. It was close Lanshan, a coast town in China in a seaport and charcoal terminus. Monitoring information shows the vessel later led behind to Nampo. It was off the Polar Korean shore once again on October 20. Later it went quiet for days. Portion of how is really lot profitable shut focus to where supplying charcoal, Griffiths told. Charcoal has stipulated a key economical lifeline for Pyongyang. In 2015, charcoal supply netted almost $1 trillion of income, on to UN information. China companies were big buyers, as Polar Korean charcoal is shut by and inexpensive. Marshall Billingsley, the aid registrar for bomber funding at the U.S. Exchequer Division, in his evidence to the U.S. Senate in September, utilized Sputnik image and ACE information to show 3 sea vessels conveying illegal Polar Korean charcoal, and laid off his ACE transponders time making so, time mobile among China and Russia. More than newly, Nikki Haley, the U.S. envoy to the Joint Nations, named for the World Society to do more than to fracture downward on Polar Korean sanctions regime violations. The justice has prohibited charcoal supply of Polar Korea. And still, we include accountable of the mode ongoing to smuggle charcoal in neighboring Asiatic countries with misleading tactic to face mask the charcoal's origins, Haley said the Joint Nations soon following the November Polar Korean rocket testing. 2 offices in Post-Kong on document, the Hao Fan 6 is belonging by a Post-Kong-based business, Fashionable Sunlight Post-Kong bounded. The business's address is listed as the 10th story of Post-Kong's Trillion Center, onto Equasis, a navigation data database advanced by Europe Association and France authorities, an openly accessible enterprise accounting records stipulated to the Post-Kong by the government. In Post-Kong, he's not illicit for companies to stake an address in his business registrar. Post-Kong requires companies to include both of a CEO and business registrar, but just the CEO has to be an factual man. Companies relying external post-Kong how do industry in the town do it in procedure to escape incurring the price of a new office space. The Hao Fan SIXS carrier, Shenzhou World Navigation, as well shares an address in one of SBC World's 4-persons offices in post-Kong. Time a vessel's carrier doesn't own the ship, it is in accusation of operating the date-to-date operative, and employing a skipper and team. SBC's dividing of addresses in fashionable sunlight and Shenzhou isn't a mark of offense in himself. But they are red flags. The is not which I would wait to see of a regular vessel. The is more than on the channel of which I would wait to see in a instance wherever we already aware thing odd is departure at, told Jessica Cavalier, the CEO of Analyze at Sayari Analysis, a Washington-based company how analyzes protection among business community through the ball. Fashionable Sunlight has one single proprietor and stockholder, Yu Diangang. On to post-Kong enterprise accounting records, he is relying in Rongcheng town in China's Shandong provincial. Cavalier and the Sayari analysis crew were just capable to discover one person in Hao behalf in all of Shandong, a concrete merchant. He's odd how a concrete merchant is listed as the proprietor of a vessel, instead of a man in the logistic or navigation production. Hao is very supernatural, Cavalier told. We're not vision human beings over these companies how I would wait to be over these companies. One ex-proprietor Fashionable Sunlight took monitoring of the Hao Fan 6 of a business named Zhejiang Hao Fan Navigation on February 24, 2017, Equasis Accounting Records Shaw. How identical date, Zhejiang Hao Fan Navigation passed property of a various vessel in its navy, the Hao Fan 2, to a business named Preliminary Superstardom, post-Kong, bounded. Love Fashionable Sunlight, Preliminary Superstardom shares an address in a branches of SBC World. Equasis Accounting Records Shaw Zhejiang Hao Fan now owns just one vessel, Hao Fan 3. Love the Hao Fan 6, the Hao Fan 3's ACE information shows it manufacturing large jumps, it can be seen cross-earth on southward Korea and Japan, a mark its transponder was rotated away. Although the Hao Fan 2 and 3 include not been trapped making whatever incorrect and include not been authorized by the joint nations or joint state, both of sea vessels include been laid off his ACE transponders and shipping in the identical areas as the Hao Fan 6, that Cavalier says is quite to order tracking. Thou include the UN take activity versus the ship, same Hao Fan 6, proverb how he's been betrothed in the inappropriate behavior on name of Polar Korea, and at the identical period where are two somewhere controllable by the identical human beings how are yet busy, Cavalier told. Thou can Shaw not just are they controllable by the identical human beings but the human beings are not betrothed in which appears to be regular business structures and regular activities, she told. Departure in circles more than rather than a monthly following it went black on October 10, the Hao Fan SIXS alarm pinged in the East China Ocean. It was hundreds of kilometers off of its recent position. Later it went in circles for more than rather than 2 weeks. There could be a way to divert investigators, onto Lopez, the ex-pane of expert term. He told he had not seen whatever loved the up, although the pain was not as concentrated on Polar Korean navigation while he was a term. If the Hao Fan 6 tries to come a act-abiding seaport, authorities would potential see at the vessel manifest itself and path story up at customer request to dock. Schematic or unfinished traffic information would be a red banner, and the vessel would potential run in problems in customs officer. In anywhere to go, no seaport to urge household and mobile in no obvious line, the Hao Fan 6 now seems to be a vagabond. He's yet departure in circles.